Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by GlassesUSA.com, which makes cute, stylish glasses absolutely affordable. You can choose from over 6,000 cute frames that include brand names and in-house brands, and a full pair of glasses including prescription lenses start at $30. And every pair of glasses includes a basic prescription lens. You can do what I did and use the virtual mirror tool to try on a myriad of glasses, and once you've chosen your glasses will be shipped directly to you and will arrive right at your doorstep. Shopping at GlassesUSA.com is a risk-free experience. There's free shipping, free returns, and there's a 100% money-back guarantee if you return the glasses within the first 14 days of receiving them. No questions asked. So GlassesUSA.com sent me a few pairs of glasses, including this pair, which I'm very fond of, and I'm going to try on some others and let me know what you think. How about these ones? These ones are fun. If you'd like to try GlassesUSA.com for yourself, click the link down below for a special offer. Big thanks to Glasses USA for sponsoring this video and for their continued support. Now today, I'm going to be making a pastry that requires 12 hours of baking. Now, I'm sure many of you have seen this new trend, relatively new trend, of expending a lot of time in recipes. 100-hour brownies, 100-hour lasagna, 15-hour potatoes. If you haven't, I'll put a link down below to the videos that I've done that require a lot of time. A lot of this oftentimes is passive time though. You allow the batter to rest, or you allow the potatoes to congeal. This recipe is different because there's 12 hours of actual baking to make this recipe. So when I first learned about it, I knew I had to try it. I have cooked plenty of things in a slow cooker, but never has it been a baked good or a pastry. So big thanks to my lovelies who recommended this recipe to me, and it is called Jachnun, and it is a Yemeni Jewish pastry that is cooked in a particular type of tin. And it is made for Shabbat. Shabbat is Saturday, it is a day of rest, and many people do not use electricity on Shabbat. So this bread or pastry would be made on the Friday before and placed in the oven overnight and taken out in the morning and had for breakfast or for brunch. So I am so excited to share this recipe with you, not only for the long baking time and of course the subsequent taste test, which we'll do in a minute, but also to share with you the process of making each individual jachnun. It is very labor intensive and interesting. So let me walk you through the steps of what I've done so far. So the recipe that I'm going to be using today was adapted from Jamie Geller. I'll put the original recipe down below. So in a large bowl, you're going to take 8 cups of all-purpose flour and add 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and 2 tablespoons of honey. You're going to give that an initial mix, and then you're going to slowly incorporate 2.5 cups of warm water. The dough mass will be initially very shaggy, and you may find that you need to add a few tablespoons more of warm water. You want to get this into a nice mass of dough, and then you're going to cover it with a towel and let it rest for 5 minutes. The resting time is really important because the dough is really tough at this point because the flour has not really absorbed that water yet. So it'll be much easier to knead once it's absorbed more of that water. So after 5 minutes, you're going to stretch and pull and tug on the dough and fold it and give it a good knead. I did this for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to form it into a ball, place it back into the bowl you started with, cover it with some plaster wrap and a towel, and let it rest for at least 1 hour. So I've read several recipes and watched several videos on how to make jachnun, and a couple of them mentioned allowing the dough to rest in your refrigerator overnight. What this allows for is a dough that's much more elastic and supple and easier to stretch. So I allowed my dough to rest for about 8 hours at room temperature. So after your dough has rested, you're going to divide the dough into 10 even balls. I used a scale, and each one of my balls worked out to be 170 grams. Take a piece and stretch it and tuck the ends under. We're creating a nice tight ball. Use your hands on the countertop to kind of shape it into a nice ball. Next, you're going to take some olive oil or vegetable oil and liberally coat your dough ball and then set it aside. So once the balls have all been shaped, you're once again going to cover it and let them rest for 5 minutes. Now we're ready to shape our pastries. You're also going to need 1 stick of butter that's at room temperature, along with about 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. Take one of your dough balls and using the palm of your hand or your fingertips, press the dough ball into a disc. And you can use a rolling pin and begin to stretch it out and kind of stick it to your countertops so that it kind of remains in place, and continue working from the middle outwards until you can see through the dough. Now, the basic dimensions of the dough will be about 18 inches by 18 inches. I found it helpful if I could keep the dough in a rectangular shape, but the dough often has a mind of its own and you end up with a kind of oblong, weird, blobby shape, but that's fine. Amoebas are accepted as well. Next, you're going to take about a tablespoon of softened butter just in your hand and spread it evenly all over the dough. Then I took some vegetable oil with a pastry brush and liberally coated the entire sheet of dough as well. Starting on the left-hand side, I folded the dough about 1/3 over, and then I followed it with the right side, covering that as well. So you're left with a long rectangle of dough. Before we roll it up, we're going to take a little bit more oil and coat the entire piece of dough as well. The reason why we're doing this is we're putting fat in between all these layers, so it'll make the finished pastry nice and flaky. Same concept in laminated dough, say like a croissant. You've got fat pastry, and the fat will separate the pastry layers. So as we're rolling, we want to kind of stretch the dough to kind of thin it out some more. Stretch and roll, keeping that roll nice and tight. So roll it all the way up, and then tuck the ends under. Jachnun is traditionally baked in a special jachnun pan or tin that has a tight-fitting lid on top. So several recipes I read suggested putting a layer of regular bread at the bottom of the tin, covering that with some parchment paper. Of course, that's got to be nicely oiled. Then placing your jachnun inside. So my understanding is that the bread is added to give a little bit more moisture to the baking vessel because there's such a long baking time. We don't want our pastries to be too dry. Because my pan was quite large, I was able to pack in 5 pastries, and then I put a layer of parchment on top of that, a little bit more oil, and then 5 more rolls. Once we got all our pastries in there, we're going to cover it with another sheet of oiled parchment, and then we can add some eggs. Jachnun is traditionally eaten with hard-boiled eggs, so we can add a few raw eggs on top, and then we cover it, and then place it in a low oven at 225 degrees for 12 hours. Da 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 da! Look, isn't this great? It's so beautiful. I love this metal tin. Alrighty, here we go. Dun 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 dun. Oh, look, it's all steamy inside. Let's take out the eggs. Oh, everything's still toasty. Dun dun dun. That's so cool. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So I'm gonna just take a tomato here and grate it. And to that, I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt. All right, next let's peel our egg. Just want one of these rolls. Place that on my plate. Alrighty, let's see how we did with the layers. Isn't that beautiful? Look at all of those layers. So if we did this correctly, the layer should be nice and transparent, and then we dip it into our tomato sauce. Alrighty, here we go. Itadakimasu. The texture kind of reminds me of thin cooked pasta. Now I've got it, kind of similar to a wonton skin. When you have a dumpling, same kind of slightly chewy bite to it. This is slightly sweet though, and it's buttery. I said butter and sugar, but it's not so sweet and buttery that it's dessert-like at all. So it goes really well with the acid of the tomato. I like that. Food scientists, explain to me why the egg takes on this kind of tan color. It's delicious with a hard-boiled egg. It fills it out. The richness of the egg yolk goes really well with the pastry. I do have to say the pastry is very rich. I think one portion is plenty. Alrighty, my lovelies, there you have it. Jachnun. It took a total of probably 14 hours, including 12 hours of baking, but so worth it to have my very first taste of Yemeni Jewish food. Alrighty, thanks again for watching, and big thanks to glassesusa.com for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to receive a special offer on your glasses, click the link down below. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Oh my gosh, the bubble tape memories are coming back.